Join us, the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast, on a journey where we delve into the heart of the matters that truly make a difference. Our mission is to create a platform where we can openly discuss topics that often go unnoticed or unexplored. We aim to shed light on these crucial issues and have meaningful conversations. We invite you to tune into our podcast, where we will explore the depths of these subjects and let our hearts guide the conversation. Together, we can create a space where everyone's voice is heard and where we can collectively work towards a better future. Welcome, everyone, to the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast. I am your host, Jeannine, and I have the pleasure of interviewing this beautiful woman. And this woman is bringing us in October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Breast Cancer Action Month, the beautiful...
Me? Oh, Jeannine, Canino, Bieda. Sorry. That's me. Well, you just threw me off by the beautiful, and I was like, who? What?
You in the camera.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys, we're going to get into Jeannine's bio, and it's brief because she wears so many hats, and she is so impactful. And we could do so many podcast interviews on her life in general, but she is very, you are so passionate about the topic of breast cancer, and we're going to tell you why. At the age of 32 years old, she discovered a lump that turned out to be a cyst. That scare led her to a breast surgeon who explained to her she had extremely dense breast, DBT, which raises cancer risks and makes mammograms alone insufficient. You heard me. Following her surgeon's advice, she pursued annual mammograms and ultrasounds, even when she was told she was too young, air quotes. At 36 years old, an ultrasound revealed suspicious changes. And on Christmas Eve, she received the life-challenging and altering call that she had breast cancer, despite no family history and years of a clear mammogram. Today, she is passionate about advocating for yourself, raising awareness that cancer does not discriminate by age, family history, or background. And she champions proper screening for all women. Lady, first, October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Action Month. What does this month mean to you personally, given your own journey?
Personally, I do have a problem with it. Just, it's, there's a lot of people that wave their pink flag, and I have so much respect for all of them, and I'm not trying to, dismiss their feelings when it comes to it. To me, it just highlights what is wrong with awareness, air quotes, because I think we're aware. Like, I'm aware. Are you aware? We're aware. Yeah, we're aware. You know what I mean? Like, so thank you, but we're aware. But what I feel that is missing from the awareness, and this is why October is so hard for me, and I know for many others, but I can only speak for myself, because all I see is what's not working. And what's not working is a mammogram. Did you get a mammogram? I got a mammogram. Did you get a mammogram? I got a mammogram. And it's very frustrating for someone like me who got a mammogram, an all clear mammogram, 2 months prior to being diagnosed, and was also told at the same time of that all clear mammogram that, why are you here? I mean, those words were said to me. Why? We just don't know why you're here. So I'm not saying, and I've said this, and you know that I'm very passionate about this, that mammograms save lives. They just don't save everyone's. So October, I have mixed feelings about, because that's all you see is is mammogram, mammogram, mammogram. And that's all fine and good for the 30, the less, because there's 30% of women in the US that have dense breast tissue. And for those women, that isn't enough. And it's a false sense of security and a false sense of safety. And I have an issue with that, because you think you have an all clear mammogram and you think you're okay. And again, like I said, that does mean that for a lot of women, but for 30% of women, it does not.
Right. And let's just go back to this. I mean, I read briefly your story, but in your own words, tell us your story and how you became that number one person in your family.
My family, yeah. So like you had mentioned in the intro, at 32, I found a lump. It was a cyst. I was ready to move on with my life. And my primary care physician, and I have to give him a lot of credit, told me I should go see this breast surgeon. And I said, for what? And he's like, just sometimes you just want to be sure. And I'm like, but it's a cyst. And he was like, just do it. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to. And something told me to do it. And I did it. And she explained to me what dense breast tissue is. She had the picture of my mammogram up on the screen,
Mhm.
that screen. And she said, do you see all the white? And I said, yeah. And she's like, do you know what cancer shows up as? And I said, no. And she said, it shows up as white. And I was like, okay, like what does that mean? And she said, this means that cancer can hide really easily on you because you have what we call dense breast tissue. And that was the first time I ever heard of it. And the thing with dense breast tissue is it's usually on young people, right? So, and what, like in theory, what is supposed to happen is you get older and it's not supposed to be as dense, but that's not the case for everyone. And again, we're putting this, one size fits all on everyone, and it's just not simply true. And I've been told that even in now as a survivor of, oh well, eventually your breast won't be as dense. Well, okay, like what is that? I mean, first of all, what does that have to do? I don't know what that really has to do with anything now. And secondly, like it just doesn't mean anything in the whole grand scheme of things. So she encouraged, not she basically told me that I must come every year and for a mammogram and an ultrasound. And that's what I did.
Mhm.
And I did that every single year for the 4 years that followed. And this year, that year was a little different. And she said, I want you to go for an MRI. And I was like, for what? Like, what do you mean an MRI? And like, because it never had happened. And she's like, I'm being overly cautious, but I think it's a good idea. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And thank God I did. I mean, that's basically, what led to the whole, to the biopsy. And that's what basically gave me the diagnosis that changed my life.
And throughout this whole journey, so okay, I'll just do what you say. I'll get a mammogram, I'll get an ultrasound.
Yes.
Once she threw in that wrench of the MRI and threw in that wrench of a biopsy, are you still thinking like she is just still being very overly cautious? Did you think that
Um,
you potentially have breast cancer?
the That's a really hard question because I have anxiety as it is. So yes, there's that part of my brain that was like, it's over. I mean, that's just what I thought. And then there was that other part of my brain that was like, she's being overly cautious. You know what I mean? Like, so I think I had a mixed bag of feelings when it came to that. So yeah, that was a scary thing. But yeah, you have to keep that part of your brain that's like, okay, no, 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 it can't be. I don't feel anything. Like, no, it can't. When they laid me down to do the biopsy, and I remember the radiologist put her hand on my chest and she said, do you feel this?
Mhm.
And I said, yeah. And she's like, have you felt it before? And I said, no. Like, but I also I had a lot of a lot of fibroids in my breast and cysts. So it wasn't anything that was abnormal. And even the radiologist, as I was laying on that table, said, I really don't think we even need to biopsy this. And my sister, who just so happens to be a physician, was there with me. And she said, stick a needle in it. Like, it was, we're not leaving here without the
Mm.
biopsy. Like, it's like good, bad, or indifferent. Like, we want to know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. So, and you know, who did I think? No, I mean, I guess there was that anxiety part of me. Yeah, but I'm one of those people that does always like think that way, like the worst case scenario. But then when the words came, it was like, what? Like, I mean, it was, you know, talk about your whole life just being flipped upside down at 36, no family history, don't have the gene. I mean, you can go through it all. I don't have all the typical contributing factors, and I understand there's contributing factors, and I get all that, but that's another thing that I'd argue with, because I've met a lot of healthy people that this wasn't supposed to happen to. So I think it is doing a disservice to women, again, because you feel safe, right? Oh, I eat right, and I exercise, and I don't have the family gene, and I didn't, and all these things. And of course we want you to do all these healthy things. I'm not here to promote going to McDonald's. That's not what I'm saying. Like, but what I'm saying is that just because you do those positive, healthy things does not keep you safe.
Mm.
And if there's anything that I learned throughout this whole, and I hate to call it a journey because this was not a trip, like, you know, a journey is a trip, you know, like a fun trip. But during this whole debacle, is that when people ask you things like, oh, did you eat meat? Did you, you know, all those things. I'm like, it took me, I used to get really mad and upset about it because I'm like, are you blaming me?
Right.
But then I realized, oh, no. They're just trying to make themselves feel better, because if they don't eat meat, then they're all right.
Mm. That's deep.
And that was something that took me a lot of therapy, to realize that that's what they were doing. They
Mm.
were asking me all the things that they don't do, right? So that, like, oh, do you consume dairy? Do you, and I'm like, why are they asking me these questions? But it was like, oh, I know. Like, this is why. Like, this is why, because you're trying to make yourself feel better. This has nothing to do with me. Because if this had something to do with me, you wouldn't be asking these questions.
Correct.
So that took, you kind of have to realize where people are coming from when they're asking these questions, you know, like all the things not to say to someone. And I know it's not malicious. It's not. And I'm not trying to say it because I know it's not. It's just that we're selfish beings, right? And you want a why to everything. So why did this happen? Believe me, I fought with that too, with
Yeah.
why. But I think the hardest thing was to accept that I will never, ever know why.
Mm.
Because because if we knew why, we would have a cure, right? So if we knew why, children wouldn't be suffering. If we knew why, a lot of things wouldn't be happening. So I think it's just one of those things that it's so complex. Cancer is so complex. And I think people want to say, well, if you don't do this, it won't happen. If you don't do that, it won't happen. But that's just not how it is. And unfortunately, some people get it and some people don't. And it sucks. and there's no way of protecting yourself 100%. Sure, make some good choices, but I'm all about eating the donut. You got to eat the donut because life's too short. You know what I mean? Like, and and like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't, eat things that someone would consider wrong or whatever. But that's because I want to live my life. So and that's very important to me.
I
I
almost want
totally
to.
rambled, sorry.
You didn't. I almost want to change the title of your podcast to "Eat the Donut." Like, but
Yeah.
You're right though, because I think about my father who is similar as far as healthy habits like yourself. Like, I mean, my dad basically ate air. I mean, worked out twice a day, ate air, did all the
Yeah.
things, but got prostate cancer. So I love how,
Curry, right?
yes,
Curry is his,
yes.
he's on my prayer list. See, I say his name every day.
I love how you are honest and transparent. And that's what's needed. And I think that's what I know what's needed in this space because people don't realize everything. And so people are stayed in a box. And when something random to them happens, it's not random to us because it's like, of course that can happen.
Right.
So you're telling the truth. You're being honest and transparent. Sorry that this could happen, but it could happen.
Exactly. And they say, 1 in 8, but when it happens to you, it's 100%. Don't forget that. So like the 1 in 8 bothers me too. Like, well, 1 in 8, oh, 1 in 8, and then you do the math. Oh, that's okay. But that 1 in 8 does not matter to the person who got it. It's 100% to them. Just like, with anything that bad happens, it's like, oh, one in this, one in that. Great. That's awesome for you who it didn't happen to. But to me, it's, like, so they love to, let's face it, the healthcare system's broken. We all know this, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I don't think you need a degree in anything to realize that. So who do I blame? I do blame the healthcare system and the insurance companies who make it so hard for preventative care, because you can't just walk in and get these tests. And I know people would abuse it, as with anything, right? Anything, any sort of system, people are going to abuse. If they can find a loophole, they're going to do it. But I think there's more good than there is bad.
I agree.
So if we focus on the good, then the bad will just get rid of itself, and I'm not saying like, every, do I think it should be 40? No. I 100% do not think it should be 40. I think you need a baseline. um
Yep.
I think in your late 20s you need a baseline. That's what I think. And then I think you revisit that in your third, in like the early 30s. Is everything staying the same? Are you just as dense? Are you a little bit less dense? Just those kind. We're not talking about, I'm not talking about a $5,000 MRI. Like that's not what I mean. Like, I just give them a mammogram. And then the people who don't want to get a mammogram, it's just, because of radiate, whatever their reasons are. Okay, that's fine. But we need to give people the choice and the ability to be able to do these things, right? Just like we can go anywhere and say, you can go to the doctor and say, I don't want to get that blood test. And that's your right. But give me the option. Give me the option, and and get putting it on a mammogram report, the A, B, C, and D. If you don't explain that, you think Jill from down the street knows what that means? No, she doesn't. She does, and then they think they did their job because, well, we put it on there, and that's why I am passionate. And there are people are doing so much more than I can ever do, and I'm grateful to them. But I do think there's this market that's missed, and I don't know how to tap into it. Like, I have no idea. I think it's just, I make a video a year, or I do something that I can do, and write a blog or do something, but it's still not getting to the people I want it to get to, because if it's just staying in this little box, it's not going anywhere. Like, so, like I said, mammograms will be all over your TV next, whatever, starting Wednesday. You won't see anything about dense breast tissue. Sure, you're going to find a video here and there on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Of course you are. But on a national level, no, you're not going to see it. Then they'll throw a celebrity up there as if that's going to make a difference. And that's even more bothersome to me, because that's someone who has privilege to way more than you and I, right? Like, you can, sure, do I feel bad for you because you're a celebrity? Absolutely. But do I think it's different for you? I do. And as much as we want to say as celebrities are just like us, they're not. they're humanly like us. And I'm not going to take away that human
Sure.
aspect of it. But don't try to compare your walk with mine.
Yeah.
Just don't, because you don't have to worry about work. You don't have to, there's things you don't have to worry about where someone else does. And you can go get these tests that cost $10,000 and you can promote it on Instagram and say, I got a full body, screening. Great for you. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you guys have your own little celebrity Instagram and you guys all talk about the millions of dollars you can spend? Yeah. Because all you're doing is also causing anxiety, right, with people that they have no control over, right, instead of putting stuff in their hands that they can do something with. And that's where, that's all disconnect and all that stuff. Because like whenever anyone's like, oh, did you see so-and-so? I think it was Olivia. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I mean, I care for her as an individual, right? Mm-hmm. Like, but like, I'm not like, okay, you did what you were supposed to. Good job. Yeah. All right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you want from me, because it's not going to be, you think more people are going to get, no people. She did not change anything, but put her name on something, and to her, it feels good. And that's great. But again, we're aware. We're not talking about pinky cancer here. We're talking about breast cancer. Like, this is not something new. Mm-hmm. So when you give me some new awareness, I'm like, what have we changed? Nothing. And that was the whole reason why I worked with Advocate. And I thought that it would have been a good partnership, but because they didn't want me to say that mammograms don't save everyone's lives and save, they say they do save lives, just not everyone's. They wanted that out. They wanted to censor what I said. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work. Because if you want to talk about my story, no problem. We'll talk about my story all day long. But you're not going to filter it. Like, because it either is my story or it isn't. So that's why I stopped working with organizations as far as like, doing so much, like, dense breast tissue. There's a, who I'm talking, what's her name? I forgot what it is. Leslie. Yeah. Yes. So, and I'll do little things with them, but again, I don't want someone to tell me what I can and can't say, because that's why I'll do stuff like this, because you can filter out what I said, me wiping my nose, not wiping my nose. You can do whatever you want, you know what I mean? But you're not going to tell me what I can say, and that's something that they like to do. And I just don't like to do that. And my whole point is to save a life, right? That was my whole point of ever sharing my story, was to save a life. And if I can't do that, then I don't need to do this. You know what I mean? Like, so that's it. If I get to one girl, I'm good. Like, that's it. That's all it's about for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm totally going off what you're at, not even what you're asking. So
you're not, you hit it. And I'm almost thinking too, have you ever, or did you, the people who said to you, well, why are you here? Or the people that said you're too young, or the radiologist that said, I don't think we need a biopsy. Mm-hmm. After you got your results, did you ever say, hello?
Well, not with the radiologist, because I never saw her again. So, but I it's definitely been made very aware of how I feel about them there. So like that, and that you guys need to all, to this day, like, it's funny because my Dr. Kruger, who saved my life, tells me, or gives me a diagnostic mammogram every year. And every year I fight with those people at the mammogram place. They go, why do you need a diagnostic? And I go, are you the doctor? I mean, and Dr. Kruger, I'll text her because I have her personal cell phone number. And I'm like, she's like, tell them I'm the doctor. They're not. When I put an order in, if they got a question, they come to me. They don't go to you. Like, but it's just, I'm like, why? Because the radiologist has to read it right then and there, because my doctor knows that I'm cuckoo, and I need to know, like, right at that, if I have to take this any further, of like, I know I'm going to have to get an ultrasound. I know I'm getting an MRI. Like, I know all that, but she does it to give me a little bit of peace of mind. And it doesn't give me that much of a peace of mind, because my my mammogram, and I go to the same place that told me that it was all fine, but that's fine. But yeah, no, I never actually spoke to the people that said that, but they know how I feel. I've said it to other people there, and I know my picture's on a wall somewhere over there saying this girl's psycho, so that's fine with me. I don't care. Like it's all good.
But it's so important because whether you said it to them directly or not, or however you said it or didn't,
Yeah.
it's a perfect reminder that I'm so sorry that happened to you, but you better not let that ever happen to another woman.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes. 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 I mean, do the extra time. Like, I know that wouldn't you rather have a negative than be cautious and go through the like you can biopsy me every other day. If you think something's not looking right, like stick a needle in it. Like I don't have a problem with that. And I'm pretty sure most women would say that, like that, like if you see something, because here's the thing, not getting the test isn't going to prevent you from not getting cancer. Just an FYI, that's not going to happen. So you just skipping over that part doesn't make the cancer not happen. So if you can sleep better at night and you don't care what happens and you're okay with whatever that result, it's a personal choice. And I'm not gonna, just like if someone's decided not to get chemo, I will never fault someone for not doing that. As long as you have all the facts in front of you. I don't do well with people giving false hopes of what if you eat this banana, it'll cure you. But if you know what you're going up against, and I do believe quality is better than quantity.
Absolutely.
So if that is something that is important to you, I get that. But give people all their options. Give people all the facts that come along with it. Of course, if a 22-year-old walks in and they have a lump, of course you don't think it can be. And the chances are it's not. But let's check it out. Let's check it out, because those 22-year-olds are the ones who get the most aggressive forms of cancer that we can't even begin to think, like that we can't even begin to understand not being in that situation. Like, so why would you take a year of possible treatment or possibly finding it just because they're not old enough? Like, what? Like it just doesn't makes no sense to me, especially for the ones who find the lumps and they're pushed away. Those are probably the ones that bother me the most, because you have something to look at. You have something to fight insurance with. You have something to look at specifically, that you're like, this is there's a lump, I have to make sure this is a cyst, because you can't feel. Sure, there's doctors that are like, oh, that feels great. You can tell me all day long what it feels like. I want to see some proof of what it is.
Absolutely.
And that should just be what the protocol is. But there's so many cuts and so many things, and and people can't pay for this, and the hospital won't pay for this, and the insurance, who is, to me, and I speak as just a personal person and just a regular person that pays for insurance, that they are the worst. And when they need to be held accountable of how many lives they've possibly turned their backs on, I guess is the best way to put that.
Absolutely. I've heard my doctors fight insurance companies. They'll deny a claim for radiation, and they'll have to do a peer-to-peer. And they'll literally say, the oncologist I work for will say, I'm talking to a non-oncologist, whatever physician, but they're not in my specific field. And you're trying to tell me what I can give to my, are you kidding me?
Right.
It's insane.
Right.
Insane.
It is insane. It is absolutely insane. And in fact, my last MRI, or the one before that, they wouldn't approve where I was getting my MRI, which was at the pavilion of the hospital. But because of the hospital, and that's the only place I've ever gotten my MRI. And my doctor was like, you can't like MRI hop. Like, you need to go where, like, it's very important to get your tests done at the same place. And people don't understand that, because the machine is the machine that's used in the same, I guess methods that the radiologists use, whatever it is. You know how many false negatives or false positives you can get doing something like that? And my doctor had to write a letter. And the same thing. Well, our doctors here, who are your are they psychiatrists? No disrespect towards, I mean, they're still a doctor, but like they're not an oncologist, they're not a breast surgeon, they're not that, like there's specialties for a reason.
Correct.
That's why you don't go to your regular doctor for psych meds. You go to a psychiatrist. You don't. I mean, that's just how it works. And there's not enough about that. It's like, well, yeah, I could talk about that all day long, but what can we do? Like, what can we do? I can only do so much. I can only do so much. So this is what I do.
And because of that, you're saving lives. And I know women are saying, okay, she was diagnosed at a very young age. A mammogram did not save her life. An ultrasound did. What can I say to my doctor? I am Nia Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
I was sent to get a 3D mammogram.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor said I have dense breasts, and that's it.
Can you please order me an ultrasound? And then when they say, oh no, we don't think that's necessary. Oh, I think it's necessary. And I always tell people, lie. Say my cousin had dense breast tissue and she had to get an ultrasound and they found something and it was, I don't care what you have to do, get the test. And if that doctor says no, you go find another doctor, because remember, they work for you. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just that you're allowed to refuse, you're allowed to accept, like all those things, but you're allowed to ask for what you think is deserved, what you think you need, I should say, not deserved, what you need. And if you're being told you have dense breast tissue, I mean, you can find it on Google. I'd have that thing printed out and be like, well, according to this, it says that I should have an ultrasound. Can you please write me an order for an ultrasound? And if they say, well, your insurance probably won't cover it, well, I'll deal with the insurance, but can you please write this order? Because I have C, because it's A, B, C, and D. Like my density is a C, which shows that I should have an ultrasound to follow up, because a mammogram isn't enough. And I think that's where you start. Like you start with, give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to listen.
Sure.
And I will give that. I think 9 times out of 10 they will, but there is going to be that one doctor who's going to be like, no, I don't think you need. And I really do think you need to find another doctor, because if you can't talk to your doctor about things that you feel that you need, like, and you have something to back that up. Right now, if you were at A density, I'd be like, you just need to, slow your roll. I think you're fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's gonna be, unless you felt something. Now, if you felt something, you fight. I think you fight that until the end. Like you fight that. But if there's no other symptom and there's no other anything else, then I think that is good enough for you. Mm-hmm. But if you're a C density and you have an all clear mammogram, you need that extra step. And I don't even think only if you, I think you just need that extra step, no matter what. C and D, it should just be an automatic. And like I said to you earlier, it's not that I'm pushing for a $5,000 test of an MRI. It's an ultrasound. Like that's all we're looking for, is an ultrasound, which can be combined with mammogram. Like you can get that all in the same day, and it would save many lives. But for some reason, we can get like a couple steps forward and then push 10 steps back, a couple steps forward, 10 steps back. And that's extremely frustrating.
Because what you're telling us in your entire story, and you're telling us so many things, it's never, and it has never been one size fits all.
Never. So stop doing it. Like stop trying to make it one size fits all. Stop trying to say you have to be 40. You have to, I mean, look at even with colonoscopies, they're taking those. they're taking those ages down. And you keep hearing 25-year-old, a 30-year-old. I mean, it's like, what? Like, I mean, and so what, like, why, if you want if preventive care is really number one, and you want people to not smoke and not drink and not do, then where the hell is the preventative care? Like, you want people to eat healthy, you want people to do all these things, but you don't offer anything until a certain age, which you could have 5 years into bad things, because a lot of the people in their young age, it's not like they had all these crazy symptoms, right?
Mhm.
It's not, it's like one little symptom that anyone would write off. It's not like it's like, oh, well, I was, constipated. They're like, oh, well, who hasn't been? Oh, you're a female? Of course you're constipated. Like, with all the hormones and the stuff that goes on, like your period, the this and that and all that. So, oh, you had pain? Oh, everyone has pain. Like, you don't know, because we're told to tough it out. We're told, all these things of, so when is it enough? Are you supposed to be on your knees? Is that when the pain's enough? Because your pain tolerance is different than mine, right? So, like, I mean, everyone is different. So you just don't know. We don't get this, this sheet of, if this happens and this happens. I mean, it's so crazy of the risks there, or um any sort of symptom that can come up that might cause alarm for you but wouldn't cause alarm for me,
Right.
or vice versa. So again, it goes back to the healthcare system, right? And that's just how I feel about it. And I know they're trying to save money, and I get all that, but like, who's getting the money? You know what I mean? Because we're all paying money every month for
A lot.
insurance, and we pay a lot of money, exactly. And you have families, and you're paying even more. And so what's that getting me? Because I might as well I might as well not pay for insurance, because I'm not getting what I want. Like, I'm not allowed to just go and get what I want. Like, it has to, there's so many rules that come along with it. Well, then, like, it makes no sense to me, because I feel like if you're paying for insurance, shouldn't we be able to? And again, I know people abuse it, and sure, there should be some sort of, you know outlying things that, like, okay, you have to have at least, high blood pressure to get this,
Mhm.
sort of heart, whatever. I get all that. Like, I completely understand that. But you know what, someone's got to do a job. Then someone's got to rewrite some shit or stuff, sorry,
Yeah.
that needs to help people be proactive
Mhm.
instead of reactive. And that's the thing. That's what we're in reactive. That's all we do. We're just reactive. And and I do feel, though, that I've heard more and more people are being found at stage 0, which is great. But it's always stage 0 of a non-aggressive, right? So it's like, okay, great. What about that? Like, I know your very, very close friend. I think she was triple negative, wasn't she? So, like, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
That's a really, really hard one. So who's protecting people like that, right? And I wasn't that, and but I still, my heart still bleeds for people, anyone that suffers from any sort of, anything, but especially cancer, obviously, and of all walks. And I think that if we were more proactive, it would be a lot easier, or at least. And you know what, we can't, I understand that stage 4 is sometimes just going to be stage 4, and that's because cancer is aggressive, and there's certain cancers that are extremely aggressive, and they could do everything right. And you've heard it a million times, I'm sure, like, I went and got my mammogram, I went and did and all that. But cancer's sneaky, and cancer is not kind, and cancer does not care about you, and so that's a whole nother discussion, right? Like, that gets into finding the cure, and I don't know if that'll ever be, because it's so complicated. And it's like, a cell decided to mutate. It's that easy and that simple. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and that hard. It's that like, it's the both easy and hard, easy and hard. It's like, it mutated. I don't know why. I don't know why it mutated, and I think that goes for any sort of aggressive. I mean, look at these babies that, get, like, they didn't eat wrong. they just got here. You know what I mean? Like they weren't smoking in the womb. You know what I mean? Like they weren't drinking. They weren't, you know, like there's so many. So if you're going to blame it, and it's kind of like, you know, taking medicine and one side effect, you know, oh, you might lose a limb. Well, because one person lost a limb, they have to put that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing with contributing factors. If so many people, I'm just throwing something out there, you know, drink Hennessy, I'm just throwing an alcohol out there, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, well, we know that this is a contributing factor, but is it? Or is it just you just so happen to grab the 10 people who drink Hennessy? You know what I mean? Like and not the people who drink some, you know, wine or whatever, you know, and I think that that's the difference of people thinking that they're safe because they don't do what they're telling you. You know, oh, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do this, I don't do that. So there's no way anything can touch me. And I run and I'm a vegan and you know, I'm a this, I'm a that, and it's like, nah, it just doesn't do that. It's just it's just not how it works. But again, contributing factors I will get behind all day long, but there's more to it.
Yeah. I just love how I keep saying this, how truthful you are. Like, unfortunately, no matter what you do, sorry, it could happen to you. Like, you know, like you said, live your life, you know, whether you want to eat air or not. And of course,
Right.
it's probably better for you not to eat cheese sticks every day. But
Right,
right,
right, right,
but
right, right,
it can happen
right,
to you.
right,
One size does not fit all. I'm
right,
glad that mammogram worked for whomever, but
right,
guess what? This is my story. It did not work for me. So you need to know all of it.
correct,
You know
correct.
what to ask for. And I'm sorry for all the times that you've been silenced because you're not saying anything negative. You're telling your story. And your story, unfortunately, with the mammogram didn't work, but with the ultrasound did. Thank God it did. Like, I don't understand why you have to be silenced for that.
Yeah, because they don't want to cause a panic, right? Like they don't want people to be like, I need an MRI or I need this. And it's like, well, then that's your job as a physician or as healthcare workers to explain why this wouldn't benefit you, but this would, right? It's not my job. You know what I mean? I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm just talking about my personal experience. I just know that they were ready to write me off. And if I didn't have a doctor that fought for me as far as the dense breast tissue, I don't know if I'd be here having this conversation. Whether it was found later or not found, I have no idea because I can't even sit here and I hate to admit it and say it, but I don't even know if I would have went at 40. I don't know. Like, I don't know because I just don't know if I would have. It wasn't like stuck in my head, like, oh, you have to go for a man. Like, I was like, all right, I'll go eventually, you know, like, and obviously it's different now, but, and I know how important it is, but it's not important to enough. And I see people going in and out of those places while I'm sitting there watching people. It's still the older crowd. I don't see anyone young in here. You know what I mean? Like it's not, I mean, not that I'm there every day, but I'm just saying on the days that I'm there or the times I'm there, like I still don't think the young people are going, you know, and it's always when it's too late that they're going. And they'll say, oh, it's on the rise with young people, but what are they doing about it?
Mm.
And because again, it doesn't fit into that number. That number's not big enough for them. They still what number's big enough for you? Isn't one too much? Like you're dismissing everyone under that age of just saying like, instead of this can happen to anyone. All like we understand that. Yes, we have a guideline of 40. We think you should start earlier. You know, like whatever I don't care how you have to change the wording, but in your head as a woman, what do you think 40? And if I walk down the street and ask 10 people, doesn't matter, what do you think about when you think of October mammogram? What do you think happens? You get a mammogram, it's okay, you move on with your life. I'm telling you, 10 out of 10 is that's what they're gonna say. unless they were touched by breast cancer, then obviously it'll be a little bit different. But most people don't even know what dense breast tissue is. And the only way, I think Katie Couric might have touched on it. But again, it's like, I think she did more for colonoscopies than she did for dense breast tissue.
Okay.
And that's because her husband died from colon cancer at a young age. But why don't you put that into the dense breast? But you see how the age thing matters, because she was diagnosed at a later date, right? So she's like dense breast tissue, but she doesn't say anything about age. She just says dense breast tissue. So we need to talk more about the age. That age is what bothers me probably the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the age.
Yeah, because too, like when they say you're too young, okay, well, isn't a 1-year-old too young, like you said?
Right.
So if a 1-year-old baby can get cancer, nothing is too young.
Right, exactly. And then they'll just, well, that's a different type of cancer. Okay, but it's still cancer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, what? Stop doing the statistics that they just live and die by, unfortunately. And they are dying by that. That it's, well, there's only so much. I can't remember what the percentage was, but I mean, it's a low percent under 40
Correct.
in the whole world, but
So what?
I don't care. Like, that's disrespecting your friend. That's disrespecting how many other, thousands of women around the world that are no longer here. That's disrespecting the mom who lost a daughter, the father who lost a daughter, the kids who lost a mother, the husbands who lost a wife, whatever. And they didn't matter, I guess. That's the message? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, then that's your message. Then just change it to, we don't care. We only care about people over 40.
Right.
Okay, then at least you're being honest.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's the whole thing. So, and yeah, back to what you said about, like, I like to live my life 80-20. 80% healthy, 20% I eat the donut, right? If I want a burger, I eat the burger. Do I eat a burger every day? No. I'm making salmon tonight. Is it my favorite thing? I mean, it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I'll eat it. Like, and but I mean, I do enjoy healthy foods, but I'm just saying, like, if I want, I don't say, oh no, like, I'm not looking at like, because I don't do anything in that often to where it should be that it's a problem, right? And it is, and I think it is about, like, how much you do of something that it becomes a problem. Yeah. If you're even just eating out every night isn't a good thing. Even if you're eating out, because you don't know what's in when you're making your own food, what's in it, what you're doing, and and all those things, and whether you're doing fresh vegetables or frozen vegetables or canned. I'm for all vegetables. I don't care what you're eating, whatever you can, get it. But I think it's common sense, and if you just follow that common sense and keep the noise out of what those people that are telling you what's bad and what's good, like, just, should you stay away from processed food? Yeah. But, like, if it's a day that you can't get food on the table for your kids and you got to throw macaroni and cheese and Kraft, do it. Like, because a starving baby or a starving kid is worse than a fed baby. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I think is missing from the the messaging that's out there in the world. It's all or none, and there's so much. It's not black and white. There's so much gray, right? And people miss the gray, and I miss the gray because I have anxiety, so I'm always like, I always look at the worst, and I always have to remind myself that gray area. There's that gray area, So I think it's a lesson for everyone.
I mean, give us your PSA. Like, look at deep in our eyes, and
deep in my big hashtag PSA. I would say, I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care how much money you make or don't, do make, don't make. Advocate for yourself. Make sure you ask the questions. Get a mammogram. Don't listen to when they tell you to get a mammogram. Don't wait till you find something to get a mammogram. Get a mammogram. Say you want a baseline. You just want a baseline. You want to see so they have something to compare it with the next time you go. Ask if you have dense breast tissue. If they say, what do you mean? Get a new doctor. Leave. Because if anyone asks you that question, they are not the doctor for you. They say there's A, B, C, and D. If you're in the C or the D category, demand an ultrasound. Don't ask, demand. And again, if they say no, find another doctor. Because there is a doctor there that will listen. There is a doctor out there that will listen. And you can private message me and I will find you a doctor that will listen. Because there are there's way more good out there than there is bad. And all we see is the bad, right? Like, especially now, all we're seeing is the bad. And what are they, look for the good. It's there. And if you don't see it, be the good. Just be the good because it's there and you can be it. And that's very important to me. So yeah, that's my PSA, is just to advocate for yourself, because you have the power. And the more you know, the more you know. Knowledge is power. And that's why we do these things. That's why there's people like you, that's out here in the world and helping. And I'm so grateful to you for helping and spread this. And like I said, I throw out a video maybe once a year, but it's people like you that make a difference.
Well, it's you. And that's one of the reasons why I connect with you, because you are, I wouldn't even say, I feel like rebel was the first thing, but that's not what I like. You tell it like it is, and that's what we need in the world. We don't need PC. Tell me what it's like, how I can fix it possibly. Tell me your story. Like,
right.
don't beat around the bush. Go direct.
Right. And better than anyone, obviously, in the Black community, it's harder for women, Black women to be diagnosed early, right? They're not. And I have to say though, the more and more I've gone every year to get my mammogram, I see more and more Black women there, and it makes me happy, because I'm like, okay, y'all are, you know what I mean? The message is getting to you, and you're getting the prescriptions, is that what they're called? Yeah, prescriptions, right? For the mammograms, and that makes me happy. So because it's for all women, like, we're all in this together, Black, white, Asian, Mexican, I don't care who you are, we're women. And we're just all human, like, too. Like, let's all treat each other like human, and we all deserve to be taken care of. And health is everything. So yeah, that believe me, I just want to make that doesn't, like, I know how hard it is. I've seen the Black community as far as breast cancer. They're definitely dismissed, and they aren't pushed for proactive health, right? And that's something that definitely needs to change as well. And I hope it does. I hope we get to see it, like, that's something I hope for.
How can people reach out to you? Because you need to be a keynote speaker. You need to be all over the world. How can people reach out to you?
I don't know if they would be able to, because they'd have to put me on HBO, girl, because this was me trying to really filter myself. I'd have to be on, yeah, I definitely have to be on cable. You can, if LinkedIn, you can tag, and anyone can get to me on Instagram too. My DMs are open, and I do, anyone that reaches out to me, I always respond, because I just want to help. That's all I want to do. And you can share my email with whoever you would like to too. And that's important. Whatever I could do to help, I do. That's very important to me. Very important to me. And I'm sorry that you're gonna have to cut out me wiping my nose 50 million times. So I apologize. My allergies, of course, do this during this, right? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm like, if this was live, I'd be dying right now. So I'm so glad that it's not.
As serious as you are, you're just as hilarious. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I know I probably went off subject. I don't even know how I sounded. So if I sounded like a crazy person, I apologize.
You didn't. You didn't.
Okay.
Listen, everybody. Reach out to my girl. She tells it like it is. She is saving lives. She keeps saying, "Oh, I just do a video once a week." She is active. She's saving lives, and we're not even going to say October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You know, you don't just get diagnosed with breast cancer in October. It's more than pink. It is
Yes.
it's happening, and we need to do something about it. But um, more action based, like she said, advocate for yourself and demand the things that you need.
Yes, exactly.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on the Humanitarian Heartbeat podcast. Remember, each conversation brings us closer to a world where compassion thrives. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's keep the heartbeat of humanity alive. Subscribe, share, and be a part of our journey to make a difference, one conversation at a time. Until next time, keep your hearts open, your minds curious, be a blessing to others, and give agape love. God bless.